How's it going? This is just a quick idea how to get your Blackstone 36-inch griddle level. I have a really bad patio slab. It's a rainy day today. A really crooked patio slab that I have to somehow find a way to level this grill off over that spans or expansion. So what I did was I slid a 1x underneath each side of wheels. The wheels are slightly different size, so I'll show you that in a second. What I'm planning on doing is putting like a little, almost a sled surrounded with 1x underneath each set of wheels. The two on the left, the two on the right. So what I did was I found out that underneath each wheel, if I plan on capturing the wheel inside that little sled, like so it's kind of like a trough, so the wheel won't jump out. You can see I'm using good wood, but it's just old and dirty. But the right side is about 4 5/8 inches wide. I say about because I'm allowing for a little slop. The left side is 4 7/8 if you want to get technical, probably 4 3/4. But like I said, there's a little wiggle room. And then what I did for these runners, whatever you'd call them, rails, I just ripped those 3/4. I just put them in my table saw, sized up the blade with the fence, and just ripped it square. So I made 5 of those, and I'll get to that in a second. So what I'm going to do now is brad nail these to the sleds. So right now I'm just marking my glue line. And then, just like anything else, I would recommend doing this one-handed is no good, but I would recommend brad nails, because if you try to screw into these small pieces, you're just gonna have all kinds of problems for yourself. So a little method I use is I take, when it's surface to surface gluing, I'll wiggle it back and forth to get the glue stuck onto both sides as best I can. Again, with one hand this is difficult, but I plan on these rotten, falling apart, being destroyed within about 2 years. So I'm not using great wood, I'm just using pine. I know it's not water resistant, it'll just, the elements will do what they will with this. Hopefully by the end of summer I'll be able to build a level capable surround in that area of the patio. You can see I have the stainless steel grill and I have the Blackstone 22-inch griddle right next to it. So I just want to make something built in eventually, but for now I just want it in its beauty and level it off. Alright, I'll be back. So at the end of each sled I want to put a little cross piece in here to further trap the wheel, just so there's no side-to-side movement. And I noticed that the two sides are different, of course. So I noted that the left side is 3.5 inches inset, the right side is 2.5 inches inset. So I got my combination square set for 3.5 inches for the left side. Then all I got to do is lay it in there and mark that line. So those measurements, 3.5 in, is where the wheel hits the wood on this side. So this is the inside measurement. Same thing over here, I marked my 3.5, and that's going to go right there. This is for the left side. And you can see I have a little left over here, a little left over here. That'll come into play. Alright, so now you can see the method to my madness to get the wheels blocked in. These wheels, of course, don't swivel. These wheels do swivel, so I locked them in position to match the alignment with those wheels. But again, all the measurements are different. But you can see all the wheels are kind of secured into place, so nothing's going to roll up and out of here. And even at this point, you can see my garage is uneven enough where I'm still not hitting all four corners, but we'll get to that. So then at the hardware store, I got what's called a T-nut and a carriage bolt. That's a 3.5-inch carriage bolt. The sizes vary, but I figured I would get that long of one, and I can always cut them down. So the way I size these up is my drill. Most drill sets come with these little sizing holes. I just found the hole that this fits into. It doesn't have to be too tight, a little bit of room. So in this case it's a 3/8 hole, but make sure you check to make sure you use the right size for whatever T-nut you got. So then I marked an equidistant place for the hole to go, roughly in the center, widthwise, and equal distances from the ends, just to make it look good. And then I just chucked up the 3/8 bit. And you may not have a drill press, but any way you can make a 3/8 inch hole is where you want to make 3 holes along the length of this sled. And you flip the sled over on its bottom. You take your T-nut. It's going to go in the hole like that. Some people like banging them in with a hammer. I like taking a C-clamp and pressing it into place. It takes a little longer, but it's a little more even. But I'm going to do that to the 3 on this side and then 3 on the other sled. This is on the bottom, by the way, the bottom of the sled. So there they are, all 6 T-nuts put into place. In case you're wondering, I did have to pound the center ones in because my clamp wouldn't reach. But also, still from the bottom, just thread these T-nuts all the way in. I won't show you all of them, but all the way in as far as the head. And you can spin them up from the other side once they get that far. But I think you can see where this is headed. Then I took these over to the sander. Probably a grinder would work just as well, probably quicker, just to flatten out the bottom so they're not perfectly round. That's an option. Another option, which I think makes this a lot easier to use, like I said, in a perfect situation I would cut these down if I knew how much adjustment was needed in the grill, but I don't. So what I'm going to do is take my angle grinder. You could use a Dremel or a hacksaw, and you just cut a slot in the top of each one of these carriage bolts so you'll be able to adjust it from the top with a screwdriver. And I'll show you when that's all done. And after trying a few different things, the most controllable, easiest way to do this is with a handheld hacksaw. And you see you can fit your screwdriver in there. And you can control that screw up or down from the top now because those slots are cut in it. Yeah, it seemed like flattening the bottom or the heads of those carriage bolts made a big difference. This is just as steady as the stand without any levelers underneath it. And I could show you after the install, but basically I'm in the garage, so there's no point in leveling it here because it's going to end up out there. So basically what you do is find your high corner and then go level off of that. As you adjust this, it'll pick up that carriage bolt and it'll raise whatever corner you're trying to lift or lower. And then what I do is I'll probably do the corners first and then go back and snug this center one down just so it's touching, so there isn't too much pressure on the outside bolts. But I'll show you after it's installed. Upon further review, I noticed that this is going to have 100% more stability if these two sleds are connected together. So I used some treated pine fence pickets, but if I was you, I would probably work in the type of wood you're using throughout, because I don't really care. Like I said, this is going to be temporary and it's just going to rot within a year anyways. So I think I'm going to connect these two runners together to make it completely stable. Yeah, so I just pre-drilled and sunk in some exterior drywall screws, and I thought, like you probably thought, that made a huge difference in the stability. So I'll show you after the install. Yeah, this will probably be its permanent home, but as you can see just by looking at the way the window is, I've got quite a bit of leveling to do. So this is it unleveled where it's going to sit. So looking front to back, side to side, this point is clearly my highest point. So I have to level the other four corners to be this height. So what I did was, you just grab somewhere on the frame. This is all computer generated holes drilled, so it's not going to be crooked. This frame, most likely these two brackets that attach the shelves, any spot you could take this cover off, probably that frame right along the griddle itself, those will all be perfectly straight. What we want to do is find level. So I could see I'm about an inch and a half off level from this highest corner. So I'm going to start on this right side. I'll be adjusting that back screw first. So you can see my worst spot that I'm aware of on this patio. I needed all 3.5 inches of that care. So I just have to go around and snug up the other screws, but I've adjusted everything to my high point. And I squirted some water here, and you can see it's sitting still. I used a regular level, plus this water test won't lie. You can see it runs off to the right a little. Maybe I'll raise that back end a little bit more. But as far as I'm concerned, it's success. So then I went in and I snuck down those center ones just so they touch the ground. I don't really want them carrying any weight. I just want to stabilize a little better. Yeah, so dropping the front left down and the back right up seems to have balanced it out. So if that's eggs or anything on there, I could totally live with that. So that's it. Fat kids gotta eat.